Okay, I'd like to talk to AK about this, and I just want to know if your members, as the Executive Secretary of the National Association of Small and Medium Enterprises, have there been any kind of involvement of your SMEs owners in credit bureau registration? Are they having any form of registration at this point?
Yeah, thank you very much, Balaji. Not just our members being involved. If you can recollect very well, 1st of April 2014, NASME, that is Nigeria Association of Small and Medium Enterprises, and Credit Bureau Association of Nigeria, CBAN, that's the organization Madam was talking about, the activities. We partnered together and organized a public policy dialogue to draw out the importance of this agency to the economy and the SME sector. And the people that participated were mostly SMEs and other major stakeholders. We used that platform to explain to them, even the SMEs that belong to us, say, look, this organization is very, very important to you. And it was the Central Bank of Nigeria that gave birth to it because it has seen the importance of this organization to the growth of our economy. And at that program, we did emphasize the importance of credit history. That, look, instead of asking for mosquito kidney from an SME, instead of asking for that, look at the credit history. Even you, the SME, you keep complaining you don't have access to funds. Do you have a good credit history? If you have good credit history, it will help you without even asking for all these collaterals and so on and so forth. So we use that program to emphasize on that and use the program to create a serious interface between the credit bureaus and SMEs. And even that day we had a lot of them got their papers to register with the credit bureaus so that they will be able to work with them.
So we shouldn't expect any form of challenge having to access this fund, Toki. Maybe Toki should come in the other point. Because if the emphasis is having to have a very good credit history, what other things should an SME owner, be prepared for?
Well,
in accessing funds?
I think there are two parties to this: the bank that's providing access to credit, and the business that's looking for access to credit. On the side of the banks, we're still dealing with what we call, in quote, the negative mindset of banks to lending to small businesses. Because every banker will tell you that it costs them just as much to lend 500,000 as it does to lend 5 million or 100 million. And so they would rather lend to the large corporates than to the small guy. So we need also for the banks to change that mindset. Two, the needs of SMEs are very different from the needs of large corporates. So we need the banks to begin to understand that and to begin to allow within that process of lending to small businesses the business support services that these SMEs require. On the part of the person looking for money, there's what we call financial literacy. A lot of our SMEs don't quite understand how this process works. They don't quite understand that they need to have their records up to date. Because we keep talking about they don't have records, they don't have records. Yes, there's a level that don't have records, but there's a level that do have records, but those records are not up to date. When was the last time they filed their audited accounts with the CAC? When was the last time they paid tax? And these things are important. So they need to understand that. They also need to understand a lot of our SMEs, those who are educated, have certification in different professions. You could be an engineer, a lawyer, a pharmacist, a doctor. You're running your clinic or your hospital. You're a fantastic doctor, but you're not a good business manager. So they need to understand that there's a difference between their professional competence and the business of the practice, and then begin to fill those gaps by either hiring the right people in the right places or getting the additional training that they need to become better business managers. And then they become more attractive to the banks.
Okay, AK, you talked about the issue of 700 million euros that have been made available by the Dutch government to Nigeria SMEs. Yeah. And I just want to add to that, we got a story over the weekend that the World Bank has pledged $500 million to build or establish the wholesale development bank. We've got the story from the Ministry of Finance, according to Minister of State for Finance. He's saying that the federal government has urged the European Union to invest in the proposed wholesale development bank. And one of the emphases, one of the focus of this bank is to finance SMEs on a long-term basis and increase the source of borrowing. What does this say about plans by the government to, increase access to funds? Because the key thing is access. And like Toki said, training. How do you develop yourself in terms of capacity to understand the business of running SMEs, AK?
Yeah, running an SME is not a tea party. You really need to be well equipped intellectually with skills and the know-how to really run a small business. It's quite challenging, but if you know your onions, you'll be able to do that effectively. Now, talking about, Madam earlier on also mentioned it, PDS service is very, very important in the economy if you want to run an efficient SME system. Business development service support is very, very important. Like Madam earlier on said, you talk about keeping your financial records, filing your annual returns. Keeping your books is very, very important. If you don't do that, you can't say you're an efficient SME or you are effective. You need that. And there are a lot of available opportunities for you to get that. A lot of training programs are going on here and there. It's just for these SMEs to, get themselves cued into that, and that will really help them. Then, even with that, there are a lot of agencies that have been set up. For example, let me just tell you this. These technology incubation centers, there are about 27 of them in the country, spread all over Nigeria. You know the essence of setting that up? 27 technology incubation centers in the country. The idea is this. You're a startup, you are coming up. You don't have the land to build your factory or what, but you have a built place with inbuilt facilities, water, electricity, infrastructure for you to run. The idea is for you to be put into that place. Why they call it incubator, or for you to be incubated, to be trained, to be brought up like a kid. Then after a while you leave that place. Within that place you are acquiring a lot of skills to keep your records, to run efficiently, and so on and so forth.
Okay, I'm sorry, I have to just cut in there, AK. Thank you. We're going to go on a break right now, and when we come back, we'll continue our discussion on SME funding in Nigeria. We're looking at the issues and the challenges, for small and medium enterprises to access funding. I've been talking to Toki Mabugunje, an SME consultant, and AK Ubiji. He is the Executive Secretary at the National Association of Small and Medium Enterprises. We'll be right back.